that you guys experienced and the activities that you guys indulged in order to, be outstanding in your application?
Thanks for that question. I'll start because I'm first alphabetically. Um, and I would say when I was in high school, I was on swim team and I did that a lot. I was playing French horn and I was in all state orchestra. And I was also in the typical honor societies like NHS and, Science Honor Society, all of those. And those things are all really great. And I think when you're in high school, you should do things that you enjoy because you want to enjoy high school. And there is a lot of focus on what activities should I do to get into a good college that will be appealing. And I think the answer is always A, something that you enjoy that you're going to succeed in, which I think is obvious and everybody says that. And also B, something, I think the most interesting thing is something that's vaguely related to the college. So if your goal is actually to get into Harvard, let's say the kids I know who pursued an activity just to get into Harvard and were successful in that were in something like Harvard Model UN, where you get a chance to interact with the university a little bit, sort of like the Duke Talent Identification Program, where you get to interact with Duke a little bit and show interest. So A, you should do something you really enjoy, which for me was music. And B, it's always good to interact with the university a little bit through your activities.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Andrew. I think, like, obviously, if you guys have been going on college tours, like, that every admissions officer is like, you should be doing stuff that's like exciting for you, that you care about. And having like read a lot of application essays to Columbia, I can say like, it really shows when you're like just doing things in high school to like get into a certain college. Like, I think the ethos should be in high school and college is to like figure out what you're passionate about, like what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and find ways that you can like really challenge yourself. So I like really liked theater in high school, and like I did a ton of theater, and just like found ways in my community to be involved in theater, like in like volunteering in various things, and like kind of professionally getting involved, so like if you have something that you're really excited about, like, and you can talk about that in your essays, that's gonna show more than any like, I'm in National Honor Society. It's like, okay, everyone's in National Honor Society, like great. It's like find something that makes you stand out, and it's gonna be something that like you love, that like makes you really happy.
Well, I'm going to respond to what Dhruv's answer was for the last question first, because off of his point that it's better to have a limited number that are really important, I think parents sometimes want you to be well-rounded. And really the only people in the world who want you to be well-rounded are your parents. Nobody else cares if you're well-rounded. And admissions officers sort of want people, I mean, it's good, I guess, but admissions officers sort of want people who are going to show up on the Wikipedia alumni lists and like be famous for a particular reason. So as Mira said, like if you're really good at theater, that's better because you're going to be famous, maybe, it's better than sort of being a little good at theater and a little good at sports. But also for me, I was really well-rounded when I applied, and that was just who I am. And it's sort of who I am as a person. Liking a variety of things and bringing them together, then that's really good too. So, I mean, you can do a bunch of different activities and that can be your strength. And when I was applying, my first thing was all-state orchestra, which is something that I really cared about and is also sort of like a measurable thing because it's competitive to get into those types of ensembles. Number 2 was probably swim team because I was in a really good swim team in high school. And number 3 was probably my work experience, which in my opinion is really important to show on it and put it high up, because I think not all high schoolers have a lot of work experience. Especially high schoolers who tend to apply to really elite private universities sometimes haven't worked at a regular job. And for me, I was working as a lifeguard at the town pool, and I had that on there, and that tied in with my swimming. And I was also working at a Kumon center, which some of you might know what that is. It's like a tutoring center. And that tied in with my role at the National Honor Society because my role with National Honor Society was the tutoring coordinator. So if you're going to be well-rounded, I think that's also a strength, but you want to then tie the pieces of you that are different together so that you can sort of find peaks and valleys in your set of applications and links between them.
Okay, so I'm kind of on the flip side of Andrew in terms of extracurriculars, but some things about what he said definitely match up with things about me. So for example, I also, well, I don't know what instrument Andrew played, but I played the violin. And so I was in youth symphony for like, I don't know, the last 7 years of my life. And like all state and all regional orchestras in my state. And kind of what he said about tying different pieces of you together, I kind of tied that in with my service that I did in high school. I helped teach music to, underprivileged youth in the city of Phoenix. And so that was something I really enjoyed. And I feel like if you can take something that is one of your strengths and tie it to something that is service related, I think that can go a long way for you. In terms of Kumon, I would be hesitant to I did the Kumon program, I completed it, which was a lot of work. I wouldn't list that as an extracurricular. But in terms of what Andrew said about work experience, I think that's true.
I was a Kumon employee.
Yeah, you're an employee. I was the kind of kid that Andrew was probably teaching. But I didn't have work really valuable if you do have that. My other big extracurricular was chess. I helped. That's where the chess team and the chess club at my school. And so, I thought that was also something that was really helpful for my application.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of tie together what Andrew and Dhruv are both saying, which is you have to think of your application as a story that you're telling about yourself. So the way Andrew's talking about he had to draw these things together, it's he's creating a narrative of who he is, and that's what the admissions people will read as a candidate to think about how he'll fit into their school. So that's kind of I think that's something you can think about when you're thinking about oh, how do these various things I do in high school and care about, how do they fit together? It's what is the narrative that they're telling about you as a candidate? What kind of person you are, what you care about, what you're going to bring to the school. And I think for me, I had kind of a divergent narrative in high school. I took a gap year and studied abroad in Germany with the State Department program. And I did theater in school and also a little bit professionally in my area, and did, like Dhruv was saying, service work in my community. So I worked for a nonprofit that did improv classes for adults with behavioral disabilities. So things like that, where it's what's the narrative of your journey that you're gonna tell people, and then that's the really exciting part about writing an admissions essay is you get to pull it all